A man who has defied the odds, of course, his indomitable human spirit remembered for decades to come.
Absolutely, all of those obstacles that he overcame during his life, as you say, given only a couple of years to live back in the 1960s and not passing away until the year 2018 at the age of 76. He was also told, as motor neuron disease continued to affect his body, that he would find it almost impossible to speak or communicate for the latter stages of his life. He found a way to do that through that iconic computer-generated voice of his that he became so well known for throughout, as I say, the later periods of his life. And what he really did, what he really achieved during that scientific career was not that just the great steps forward in physics and in science that he was able to make, those theories he was able to develop around black holes, around the Big Bang theory, around relativity. It was also the ability he had to take some of those arguments to the mainstream, to really get some of those ideas around science into public consciousness and become one of those mainstream figures in public culture as well as in science.
Of course, the world knew him very well, but he has a special place in the UK. What's been reaction there?
Yeah, there's been a lot of reaction from the UK, and I think again this illustrates the type of man that Stephen Hawking was and the type of effect that he had, because we're seeing responses from all across the spectrum. We're seeing, of course, a huge outpouring of emotion from the scientific community, but also from politicians, from comedians, from pop stars. Theresa May, the British Prime Minister, has used Twitter to give her tribute. She says he was a brilliant and extraordinary mind, one of the great scientists of his generation. She goes on to say his courage, humour and determination to get the most from life was an inspiration. She touches on humour there, and I will say that many people are also talking about his sense of humour, his wicked wit, his sarcasm, his naughty sense of humour, the practical jokes that he would play. We've also heard, as I say, from other figures from popular culture. Cher, the singer, has also tweeted talking about the lunch that she had with him, that she says she will remember forever, and saying that during that luncheon they argued about the value of history. Stephen Hawking saying that history will eventually become redundant because time travel will be perfected, and Cher arguing the other side of that argument. So, as I say, clearly a man who affected the lives of people, not just in the scientific community, but far beyond.
His family, of course, releasing a statement, Olly, saying that he was a great scientist and an extraordinary man whose work and legacy will live on for many years to come.
That's exactly right. It was from his family that we learned that he had passed in the early hours of this morning. And as you were suggesting earlier, it's not just here in the UK that he is being missed and that people are paying tribute to him after the news of his death. It's all around the world. That book of his, A Brief History of Time, selling over 10 million copies worldwide. It was translated into a number of languages as well, not least, by the way, in China, where he is a huge figure. That was partly because the development of scientific ideas and his public profile rose at a time when China was increasing its influence in the scientific world and with its explorations into space. But he became a huge figure in public culture in China, so a huge outpouring of emotion there and in other countries. And here in the UK, people in the city of Cambridge, where he lived for a long time, are saying they will miss seeing him around the city and having their conversations with him as he would pop up next to them in a restaurant or wherever else it may be. This is a figure that will be hugely missed all around the world.
I know it's a bit early to tell, but any idea how the UK will actually celebrate his life?
Well, we know that a book of condolences is open at the University of Cambridge, where he spent so much time, where he was a fellow. No details yet on any funeral or whether there might be some kind of public memorial service. I suspect there will be the appetite for that from a lot of people, and if there is to be some kind of public memorial service to be held in Cambridge or perhaps Oxford or elsewhere, I suspect that would be very well attended indeed.
All right, thanks so much for that. Appreciate your time and insight. That was the eNCA's UK correspondent, Olly Barratt.